This diagram shows what we have accepted as the standard human family tree for decades. It tracks our origin from a single point in Africa, branching off into Neanderthals, and concluding with Homo sapiens standing alone at the top of the evolutionary ladder. In 2008, an archaeological team began digging inside this remote Siberian site, known as Denisova Cave. They were looking for standard, routine Neanderthal remains. Instead, deep in the soil, they found a microscopic fragment of bone that belonged to the pinky finger of a young girl. When geneticists analyzed the DNA from that tiny fragment, the sequence didn't match early humans. It didn't match Neanderthals. The data forced an entirely new, heavy branch into our timeline. That single sliver of bone proved we shared the Earth with a parallel human species. They were named the Denisovans, and their existence meant our historical timeline was simply wrong. As researchers expanded their search, they uncovered a handful of physical fragments scattered across Asia. A massive skull surfaced in China, and an unusually thick jawbone was recovered in Tibet. The physical dimensions of these remains eclipsed our own. Notably, the skull structure indicated a brain cavity 20% larger than a modern human's. This side-by-side comparison shows how they utilized that extra space. Genetic mapping of their neural pathways revealed dense neural networks. Their DNA points directly toward a capacity for memory processing and complex pattern recognition that outpaced our own ancestors. Which leaves us with a mathematical problem. If they possessed a larger brain capacity and advanced genetics, making them a highly capable version of humanity, why did they disappear while we survived? The artifacts left behind deepen the mystery. While early Homo sapiens wore animal skins and used basic stone tools, the Denisovans were achieving advanced engineering. Inside that original Siberian cave, archaeologists unearthed a green chloratolite bracelet. Carbon dating placed its creation at 50,000 years ago. The bracelet features a perfectly straight, highly polished hole. Experts point out that executing a cut with this level of precision typically requires high-speed rotary drilling, a mechanical technique we assumed wouldn't be invented for millennia. In 2016, researchers found a 7-centimeter bone needle in the same cave, complete with a drill eye for threading. They were measuring and tailoring their clothes rather than simply draping raw hides. These artifacts provide physical proof of higher-order planning and technical advancement, achieved long before the recognized Stone Age. And their footprint isn't confined to small tools in isolated caves. If we move into the dense, remote forests of Mount Shoria and Siberia, the scale of their territory becomes visible. Stacked in the mountains are right-angled, perfectly cut megalithic stone blocks. Some of these individual rectangular slabs are estimated to weigh over 3,000 tons, masses that would stress modern heavy machinery. Across Central Asia and Mongolia, thousands of similarly cut megalithic slabs have been found. Many of these structures are perfectly aligned with celestial movements, tracking the sun precisely during the summer and winter solstices. These immense geographic anomalies sit dead in the center of what we now know was Denisovan territory. They suggest a population that actively mapped the stars and engineered large-scale monuments across the continent. Beyond engineering, they possessed extreme environmental adaptability. While our early ancestors struggled to survive on low-altitude plains, the Denisovans thrived in the thin air of freezing mountain peaks. Their DNA also contained the blueprint for an incredibly robust immune system. Genetic markers show they could casually withstand pathogens that decimated other early humans. And researchers note their cellular aging process was significantly slower than ours. High cognitive capacity, extreme physical endurance, a reinforced immune system. When combined, these traits form a biological profile perfectly engineered to outlast almost any threat on Earth. So, how does a species with all of these advantages get wiped off the map? There are two leading theories. The first relies on prehistoric numbers. Around 40,000 years ago, Homo sapiens pushed into Eurasia. We were highly aggressive, deeply territorial, and we bred quickly. We may have simply overwhelmed the Denisovans through sheer violent volume. The second theory points to a planetary cataclysm. Roughly 12,800 years ago, a severe climate shift known as the Younger Dryas triggered massive floods, rapidly melting ice caps, and violent temperature spikes that devastated high-altitude territories. Whether it was early human warfare or an apocalyptic environmental reset, the physical presence of the Denisovans was erased, leaving only scattered teeth and fragments of bone buried in the dirt. But the Denisovans didn't completely disappear. Before their territory collapsed, they interbred with migrating early humans. The proof is in modern populations. Today, people living in Tibet possess the EPAS1 gene, which allows them to effortlessly breathe at 14,000 feet. That specific adaptation is not human. It is a direct genetic inheritance from the Denisovans. Similarly, indigenous populations across Oceania carry immune-boosting markers inherited directly from this exact same species, giving them resistance to local pathogens. Rather than out-evolving the superior Denisovans, we absorbed them. Our modern success is built on the borrowed superpowers of a forgotten civilization